Okay. What's going on? I guess we're live. Hi. Welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley. And for the next hour here on Verbling, we are going to be continuing our series looking at different sentence constructions. So far this week, we've looked at simple sentences, or also known as independent clauses. Yesterday, we looked at compound sentences in which we join two simple sentences, join them together with a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction like fanboys, for and but, for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. Yeah, okay. Or with a semicolon, we can join two simple sentences together. A simple sentence or independent clause is composed of at least one subject, maybe more, one verb, at least, maybe more, and must be a complete thought. When we join two of them together, two or more, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 247, that is a compound sentence. Today, we are going to look at complex sentences. Today, we are going to talk about dependent clauses, clauses that need some help. They need some help because, like an independent clause or simple sentence, they have a subject noun. Like a simple sentence or independent clause, they have at least one verb. However, unlike simple sentence or independent clause, they cannot stand alone because they are not a complete idea. They're dependent clauses because they have subordinating conjunctions, sometimes time subordinators like when, while, as soon as, if. These are time subordinators, and so if I just walked up to you and said, when my wife comes home, and that's all I said, that doesn't make any sense. It is not a complete idea. It is not a complete thought. It cannot stand alone, and thus it is called a dependent clause. Complex sentences are combined with an independent clause. Every type of sentence construction must have an independent clause or simple sentence. When we combine a dependent clause with a complex sentence, with that dependent clause, that's when we have a complex sentence. Okay, where is everyone? Come on in, join the class. In today's class, that was a long-winded introduction, but all right, we'll examine these quite a bit more closely, and you, the students, will actually practice constructing a couple, 3 different forms of complex sentences using different subordinators. So you'll be practicing your sentence construction, obviously useful for any writing you do, formal, academic, business, etc. Having proper sentence construction, frankly, obviously it's going to help you in academics. It's also considered really good business etiquette. If you don't know how to construct a sentence, it's hard to be good at business. No one will take you seriously. Okay, well, I'm going to start, hoping that someone will join me soon. Complex sentences. All right. As I said, a complex sentence has an independent clause. It's joined by one or more dependent clauses. In English, speaking of grammatical rules of sentence construction, it is possible to have a sentence with 80 billion words because you can continue to add clauses to a sentence. There is no specific limit. Of course, no one would read your sentence or no one would listen to your sentence because it would be too long and complicated. Okay, a complex sentence always has a subordinator, or also known as subordinating conjunction, such as, for example, because, since, after, although, when, and many others. Or another type of complex sentence has a relative pronoun, such as that, who, or which. We will attempt, or you, the students, if you join me, will attempt to form these different types of complex sentences to make sure you have a good understanding. We'll start off by looking at some examples and trying to follow suit, to follow the examples. In the examples that we're going to look at now, the subjects are highlighted in yellow. You see the yellow highlight. Verbs are in green, and the subordinators and their corresponding necessary commas, when required, are in red. Okay. Well, for example, here is along 5 examples of complex sentences. When is the subordinator? This is a time subordinator. He, subject noun, handed the verb. When he handed in his homework. Now that by itself, if you just said that to someone on the street, would not make sense. It is not a simple sentence. It is not an independent clause. If I put the dependent clause first in the sentence, I need to separate the two clauses, the dependent and the independent, with a comma, which you see the little dash of red here, indicating the comma. And now the second part, I have my independent clause, my simple sentence. He forgot to give the teacher the last page. Independent because it has a subject verb and it makes sense. It's understandable by itself. Okay. This sentence, if I, and frankly, any sentence, absolutely any sentence with, in fact, a subordinator and a subordinate clause can be reversed. All right, for example, I can put the first part second, the second part first. All I would have to do is, okay, he, oops, he forgot to give the teacher the last page when he handed in his homework. All right, when I construct the sentence in this way, it does not change the meaning of the sentence whatsoever. There is absolutely no repercussions to doing this. It doesn't change anything. The only thing that changes is, notice that there is now no comma between the two clauses. If you have your independent clause first, you do not need a comma. This is a very common error. Okay. Let's put it back the way it was. And there we go. Our second example. The teacher returned the homework. This is our independent clause. And after is our subordinator. Another time subordinator after she noticed the error. Another extremely important point of grammar is that these first two sentences containing time-related subordinators, when, after, there are many others, while, as soon as, even subordinators if and unless are considered time subordinators. You can never, ever, 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 never, ever, never, never, never have any future tense in a dependent clause that contains, or that it starts with, a time subordinator. So you could never say when he will hand in his homework. You can never say after she will notice the error. It's impossible to ever have a future tense with a time subordinator. Okay, hello, Vincenzo.
Hi, teacher.
Hi.
I'm just a bit late.
Okay, I thought I was
this
doing the
lesson.
lesson by myself here, actually. From
You are making question and answer to yourself.
Teaching myself, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to continue. I've kind of already started. Hopefully you can catch up to things. The students are studying here. My third example, this is the independent clause connected with the dependent clause using the subordinator because they have a test tomorrow. All right.
Yes.
I don't need a comma because the independent clause is first. All right, because is a subordinator, it is not a time subordinator. The only really significance of time subordinators like when, while, after, as soon as, during, if, unless, is that you cannot use future tense with any time subordinator. I can use a future tense with because, not a problem. Because
yes, but,
they will have a test tomorrow, no problem.
Yes, yes, teacher, but I can I make an option, an objection? Yes, can I make an objection? Yes,
Sure,
the principal clause must have a precise meaning or something like this. Because when I say the students are studying, yes, but there is no why they are studying.
yeah.
There is no meaning in this sentence, no? Yes, I know that is the acting of studying is the main things in this sentence. But if you don't put because they have a test tomorrow, it has no meaning, no?
It does have meaning. Let's just put
Yes,
it there.
so
A simple sentence.
it's very
Students are
strange to
studying.
me. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. I've never seen this in a grammar textbook. I've never been taught this, but I sort of taught myself this. Okay, my imaginary bar to figure out, is this a complete idea, which is what you're talking about. If I
Yes.
walked up to a stranger and on the street, and perhaps I'm allowed to use hand movement. Let's give me that option. If I point over there and I say the students are studying, will you understand what I mean?
Yes, I can see the students
You
that are
will.
studying. Yes, I
Okay.
can understand.
Now, on the other hand, if I walk up to you on the street and you don't know me, and I say, for example, with a subordinator,
Yeah.
and I walk up to you and I say, while the students are studying,
Yeah.
and that's all I say. I don't say anything else. Would you understand me?
I don't
No.
understand. Yes. No, I don't understand you. Yes.
Of course not. It's incomprehensible to anybody. It makes absolutely no sense. It's an incomplete idea. And that is the difference. Or that's the way I measure it. I guess I designed my own measurement, my own metrics to decide what's an independent and what's a dependent clause. If it could conceivably, in any situation, be understood by a stranger talking to a stranger, then it's an independent clause. If it can't, if it simply could not, then it's dependent. That's my kind of my measuring.
Yes, but my interpretation is this, teacher. In the example that I told you in the last lesson. I said I make or I do a walk with my dog and I continue in the morning when there is it's not cold. It's not cold. It's not raining.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in this sense, I can say the main sentence or the main I can say yeah. The main sentence is I make a or I do a walk with my dog. The other are complements in the
Yeah,
morning when the
compliment.
while. I think that a subordinate clause must be something with when, while, or something like this in order. Uh,
Mm-hmm. You're
you
right.
understand what's the problem about me because I want a principal clause that has a true meaning. True
Yeah.
meaning. I can't say. And what is it? Mm, different. Where what the students are here. The students are studying. Yes. Can I take this for the principal if you don't say because in this sense it seems to me that is not a subordinate because it's something that's very joined to the first one because they have exam tomorrow. So I would take the entire sentence as a principal. The students are studying because they are having an exam tomorrow. Mm.
Ah.
So I would divide the sentence in this sense because otherwise I can't take simply where is it? The teacher returned the homework.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, let's look at the
returned
example.
in the example two, the teacher returned the homework could be the main tense. It seems
Yes,
to
it
be the main
is.
tense.
It
But
is.
if I say why, for me, why is very important in order
Yeah,
to.
that's for you. That's frankly, that's
Yeah,
your
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
That's
Yes,
not an
yes.
English
So
grammar's problem.
yes,
That's
I don't
your
agree with,
problem.
with this kind of division, no? The sense
Yeah,
in this
well,
way.
you're
Yes, I
you're
would make
I'm
something
sorry.
different.
You're fighting with the entire English language.
Yes,
You,
yes, yes.
you know what, Vincenzo? Go create your own language.
See, but
You can make
you
your own
see,
rules.
for me, it's more clear. For me, it's more clear. My
Okay.
my
I know.
division.
I know. It's. I understand that what you're saying, and that
Yes.
okay. In your mind, it's not really a complete thought because it doesn't explain why. But as
So,
far as
so,
English
so
grammar is
yes,
concerned, it
yes.
is.
So if I want to resume something in the principal idea, I can make this the next the teacher returned the homework. Yes,
Hmm.
I can resume a fact in this way, no, in order to synthesize, no, to make a summary, no. For me,
Yeah.
it's not so. No, you can say at the end the teacher returned the homework. You have to
Well,
specify the
I
I can
really,
say.
I really have. I really have no way to respond to that than to say, according to English grammar, it is sufficient. That's all I can say. It is what it
Yes.
is. The sky is blue. I really have nothing, no
See, yes,
way.
in a simple
To,
sentence, the sky is
I have
blue is sufficient.
it's sufficient. Yeah, that's it. Subject, verb, and it's a complete idea.
Yeah.
A finished idea. It doesn't need any extra information. Okay, I understand that's what you're arguing, but we could argue all day because it's pointless.
Yes.
Subject, verb, and again,
Yeah. Yes. We have to accept this in this way.
we have
Accept
to accept it. Yeah,
as it
that's
is. As it
basically it.
is. Yes. Okay.
Okay, let me welcome Turkey to the class. Hi, Turkey,
Hi,
and
how are you? Hi,
I'm
everyone.
fine. And hi to Ken, who was here and then had to leave and was back. Hopefully, Ken will return. Hi, Ken, if you're out there. Okay, Turkey, good to see you. All right, we're gonna actually try to make our own complex sentences based on these examples here. Combining, we'll start basic. Let's combine one independent clause and one subordinate clause. Okay, the red are the subordinators: when, after, because, There are many others you might wish to try: when, although, because, since, after, if, while, as soon as. Sometimes they're phrasal subordinators. As soon as is phrasal. It's a phrase, more than one word. Okay. Okay. All right, I already talked about the commas. Okay. Okay. All right, well, one last note here. Sentences 4 and 5, they're just reversed the clauses. Here's a slightly important point. Experienced listeners of English will often hear a slight pause where you would naturally put a comma. And I think that's actually very true. Anywhere, regardless of if you're thinking about, complex sentences or whatever, natural native speakers put a pause there automatically. We do it without thinking, and when we listen, we hear it without thinking as well. Okay, just wanted to bring up that point. Let's see if you guys can make a basic one independent, one dependent clause sentence. Vincenzo, you want to give it a try?
I walk with my dog in the morning when it's not raining and when it's not cold.
Okay. It is. Okay. And then when it's not cold. Okay. Well.
It's not.
Okay. What's
it's not,
your? No, we need to talk about it slightly, but we need to fix this sentence a little bit. But Vincenzo, what is the independent clause here? Subject, verb, complete idea.
I walk with my dog.
Yeah. Plus in the morning. In the morning, an additional.
Yes.
Prepositional phrase, but yeah. Okay. Basically, this is your independent clause here. Yeah. Okay. Dependent clause. Of course, you have two in actuality, right? When it's not raining and when it's cold.
No, it's not cold either.
Oh, when it's not cold. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not.
Whatever. Yeah. All right. When it's not raining, when it's not cold. We have a couple options here. I have to alter this slightly, and frankly, because there's two things, I would probably add "and" when it's not cold. It's the best option. Yeah. Okay, because I'm simply listing things. I'm listing clauses, but I'm listing them. I'm using "and" not as a conjunction here, but simply as listing. I like hot dogs and chicken and pizza. Just listing. That's it. Okay. So this is a complex sentence. Back to our rules. Complex sentence.
I hope that you don't like my dog, teacher.
One or more dependent clauses. All right. Vincenzo has chosen for more, but all right. We at least one of each. Turkey, you wanna?
Yes, teacher. Okay.
Okay. Give it a try.
Complex sentence. Okay, because my coffee was too cold, I hated it in the microwave.
Well, that's quite logical. Okay. Very good. All right. What is missing?
Missing?
Yeah, there's one small thing missing here. Very small thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's like a comma between two sentences.
Yeah, between two. Yeah.
Because we have two subjects. Yes.
Two subjects and two verbs. That's right. So you have two clauses. If your subordinate or dependent clauses first, you need the comma.
Yes.
Right.
And sometimes we use semicolons if we put like fanboys in the middle of the sentence, like because or but in the middle of sentence.
That
I
is
didn't know
true,
actually. Yes.
but that is for compound sentences.
Compound, okay. Because
Okay.
I studied that maybe years ago, and I still remember something.
Right. We did that yesterday here at this time. I guess you missed it, but
Yes,
yeah.
I was with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. We can use a semicolon to combine two independent clauses. The thing that confuses everybody is why are the fanboys or they're different. Coordinating conjunctions, they're called. They're coordinate and join two independent clauses. I write fanboys because that stands for four.
Yes, fanboys. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
For and no.
It's a mnemonic device to help us remember. Yet and finally so. There they are. These are. Why do these act differently than other subordinators which we use for complex sentences? Why are these used for compound sentences different? Or how are they different? You basically ignore these. They don't count, really. You ignore them when you combine two simple sentences. I like cake and she likes pie. Okay, that's she likes pie, simple sentence, I like cake. You join them together with and, you basically kind of ignore it. Now the subordinators, like in this case, because we don't ignore it. It's considered not as like an addition outside thing from the sentence, but it's considered part of the sentence. Because this sentence doesn't make sense by itself, now it's a dependent or subordinate clause. Okay, because your subordinate clause is first, you need the comma. If you put your dependent clause first, which you can basically do with any complex sentence, or at least any one independent, one dependent clause, you don't need a comma. Yes.
An observation, teacher. In this phrase, because my coffee was too cold, it seems that the first one could seem the principal because it is the cause of the problem. No. Yeah, you could say I heated the microwave. I heated it in the microwave. It's the action, but the action is subordinated to the cause, that is because my coffee was too cold.
I think we're
do you think my observation?
What's confusing you is the use of the pronoun, because we're using it after my coffee. If I actually switched clauses, I would have to make another change. Okay? Here, if I had switched it, just observe. I heated my coffee, okay, because it was too cold. I can never have obviously I can never have my pronoun it first. So regardless, it's an excellent point, actually. It's an excellent observation. Regardless of how you construct your sentence with the dependent or the independent clause first, naming the noun will have to be first. It doesn't matter. And then you can use a pronoun in the second clause, but that's going to be consistent, actually.
Yes, it seems that the principal action is the principal cause is I eaten my coffee, but in reality it's not so, teacher. Yes, because the problem started from the cold.
Yeah, but you can't. You cannot think about English that way. Cause and result that way. Cause and effect. You cannot.
Yeah.
Because okay, my coffee was cold, so I heated it in the microwave.
Yes, yes, yes. I noticed it.
Okay.
Yes, yes. A kind of grammar, kind of structure. Yes, in order to divide
Right.
the sentence in this way. Yes, I know.
Sometimes in English we want to emphasize the cause, and sometimes we want to emphasize the effect.
Yeah, yes. That's a kind. In order,
It isn't automatically one way or the
it's
other.
a kind of
Whatever.
expression, a way to express something. Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Mm.
Ken, you want to give it a try?
Yes.
Just a simple complex sentence, one independent, one dependent clause.
Uh, whenever whenever I go to Greece, I will visit Santorini.
Wait a minute. Okay, hang on.
I. Mhm.
Comma, Greece, comma. Sorry.
Well, oh, well, yes and no. Okay, this is a little bit of a confusing sentence.
Mm.
Okay, whenever I go to the store, I buy gum. Meaning every time I go to the store, I buy gum. That is different. This whenever together, okay, it means each time. Like each time I go to the store, I buy gum. Whenever I go to the store, I buy gum. But in this usage, we can't use it together like that, certainly. And whenever I go to Greece, it doesn't make sense.
How about every time I go to Greece?
Every time I go to Greece?
Why then? Can't work. Why don't answers work, teacher? Whenever
I go to Greece, because it means that he does it repeatedly. Okay, whenever I go to Greece, now it works. I visit Santorini.
He wants to say that every time.
Okay, and I can use whenever. I need to get rid of will.
Okay.
Because whenever means it's a repeated action.
Yeah.
So I can't say every time I go to the store, I will buy gum. That doesn't make sense. I have to say every time I go to the store, I buy gum. It's a regular thing. I have to use present simple tense. It's a normal thing. Whenever means you have to use present simple tense because it's a regular state of affairs. It's regular. So that's the problem, I guess. You can use whenever, you just can't use will. It doesn't make sense with will.
Mm-hmm.
It's a subordinator that pretty much demands that you use simple present tense. Some subordinators do that. They demand a verb tense. You know. Okay. And some time phrases, prepositions do the same thing. Okay. Anyway, so this is fine. It's a matter of the meaning of the word whenever. It means every time. Okay. All right. Let's look at some other fun things. Complex sentences in relation to adjective clauses. Okay. Or relative clauses. Sentences containing adjective clauses are also complex because they contain an independent clause and a dependent clause. Same thing. The subjects, verbs, and subordinators are marked the same as in the previous sentences, and in these sentences, the independent clauses are also underlined. They're underlined because you will notice they're broken up. This is a complex sentence. The woman who called my mom sells cosmetics. Okay, the independent clause here is the woman sells cosmetics. That's the complete idea.
Yeah.
So you kind of have smushed here in the middle, who called my mom? All right.
Mm.
All right. Who here is a relative pronoun. Okay. Pronoun is important. So who is the subject noun of the dependent clause? Who called my mom? All right. It's referring obviously to the woman. It is a pronoun, just like he or she or it. So we still have a subject noun, so to speak. We still have a verb, and we definitely have an incomplete thought. Who called my mom? Unless it's a question, but it's not a question; it's a statement, so it doesn't make sense. Who called my mom?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Some more examples, and then we'll give it a try. The book that Jonathan read is on the shelf. The book is on the shelf. The house is still standing. The house which Abraham Lincoln was born in is still standing. All right.
Mm.
So, all right, the town where I grew up is in the United States. Okay, this is a second form of complex sentence. Again, just like you can, you can have two subordinate clauses with subordinators. You can have any mix and match as well. The complex sentence, maybe we'll try that last of all. You can have an independent clause. You always must have an independent clause, or it's not a sentence. An independent clause, a subordinator, and subordinate clause, and then a relative clause or adjective clause, as we just looked at. You can have any combination of those and any number of them. The only thing that you have to have is a dependent clause. All right, let's give this a try. Using this model, okay, again, we're going to try to form a complex sentence with an adjective clause using these examples. Vincenzo, give it a try.
Yes. Mm. This morning I have to study many lessons. Some lessons are English lesson and other are Spanish lesson. Lessons.
Okay. Okay. Some are English lesson.
And other are Spanish one. But in order to not repeat.
And okay, and the other.
Spanish.
Okay, first of all, be mindful of your plurals. Many, lesson.
Lessons.
Yes,
Lessons.
of course. All right. They are English lessons. They are Spanish lessons. Okay, be careful of your plurals. All right. This morning I have to study many lessons. Some are English lessons, and the other are Spanish lessons. I don't see any relative pronouns here. I don't see any who, that, which, where, which is what I was trying to get you to do. The others. This is something different. This is in fact.
Can we classify some as a subordinate when start with some?
No.
Some are linguists. Some others.
No. Okay, this is interesting. This is not a. No, it's not a subordinator.
No, it seems to me that the principle is this morning I have to study many lessons.
Yeah, that definitely is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about that.
To specify, it seems a subordinate. No, when I specify some are no.
Okay, well, all right. Let me tear this apart. Does this make sense by itself? Some are English lessons.
That's another principle. Okay.
Okay. Summer English lessons. Is this a sentence? Really?
Yeah.
Actually, it is. So that means that this is another independent clause.
Another independent.
Yeah. And we can put a comma, and the others are Spanish lessons.
But
Yeah.
and they refer to the first one in order to define the first one, because they, as part of the first one, no?
Yeah.
This English lesson is a part of the lesson that I have to study. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an
Lesson.
independent clause. I mean, I write it here, and Microsoft Word is telling me that this is okay as a sentence. This is a sentence, which means it most assuredly must be. It's tricky because you're using some. This is a tricky word. It almost functions like a pronoun, and without context, it really doesn't seem to make sense. In some cases, it does. Some are far too rich. Well, you know what I mean. You mean some people have too much money. You can understand what I mean. It's just you're using a very tricky word here, because we usually say some. We do have the word lessons. Some lessons are English lessons. It's just we don't repeat it. Oh, okay, never mind. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
One. Okay, some are English one.
Yeah.
Excuse me, teacher. I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yes.
Okay, about this sentence. This morning I have to study many lessons. Some are English and the others are Spanish without repeat lessons like 3 times.
Could be, yes.
Do I need some? I have to study many lessons. Some are English,
and the others are Spanish.
like
Yes,
that.
but,
Yes.
And the others are Spanish.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we have to define if they are independent or dependent. Yeah. Step.
Okay. All right. So then, all right. Some are English. Is that an independent clause? It's a heck of a tricky one. You give me some tricky material to deal with, that's for sure. Yes, it is. And it may be difficult to wrap your head around the idea that this is a sentence, but it is. That's considered a complete thought. Some are English. Some what?
Excuse me, I have to go just a moment.
Okay. All right. But anyway, this would be a compound sentence, as in there are no dependent clauses here. Or I don't see any. I certainly don't see any subordinators. So, okay. Well, that's a really hard one to understand. But all right, let's get back to what I originally was trying to do here. Complex sentence with a relative clause using who, that, which, where. Let's give that a try. Turkey, can you give it a try?
Okay, you mean with the which and that or something?
Yes. What I
Okay.
trying to accomplish is get you guys to form a sentence like these.
Okay, the university that John studying in, it is the best university in this country, maybe.
Like this?
It is the best.
Okay.
Another subject. It refers to the university.
We'll talk about that in a second.
The best university in this country.
Okay, but okay. I want you to look at something. The book that Jonathan read It is on the shelf. We don't need it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We don't need to refer back. The book is already, it's divided. You see how it's underlined? So
Yes. Yes.
it's like saying the book, it is on the shelf, or it is like saying the university, it is the best university in this country. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So this is redundant and unnecessary. Okay. So that's it. All right. Yeah, that's it. So underlining, if we're gonna, like the other part. All right. The university. Okay. Is the best university in this country. All right, that's it. And there are dependent clauses there in the middle. That's exactly what we were trying to accomplish. It's again, all right, Abraham Lincoln was born in. Okay. Okay, very similar, actually. All right, Ken, you want to give it a try?
Yes. The teacher whose name is Akuri is teaching this class.
Oh, that's interesting. Whose? That's an interesting one. It's interesting because did you mean to say whose or did you mean to say whose?
No, relative pronoun, not possessive one.
Whose or whose? Well, it is my. I do possess it. It is my name. It is possessive. So it actually, you were right. I mean, the way I wrote it, but I don't know what you meant because whose and whose sounds exactly the same. I didn't know what you intended. I wrote it the way that it should be, actually. This is correct. You can use. It's rarely used, but it's interesting because yes, it can be used as a relative pronoun. Exactly. Well, whose sock this is? Okay, it's used to show possession. It can only be used to show possession. So actually, that is correct. Again, the independent clause, once again, is the teacher Oakley is. The teacher is Oakley. The teacher name is. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's teaching this class. Yeah. Okay, that's fine, and then that's a complex sentence. All right. Let's see. To review, and maybe take it another step further. Once again, a complex sentence is a sentence that contains one independent clause and one or more, any number. There's no limit of dependent clauses. Let's look at some more examples. Because life is complex. There's that because first. We need complex sentences. All right. Pretty simple. The independent clause is blue, dependent clause italicized. All right. Okay, let's look at another one. Because people know that I am an English teacher, they make allowances for how I dress and what I say. What is going on here? Wow. Woo! Let's dissect this one. 4, count them, 4 dependent clauses. This is what I was saying earlier. You can have any number of mixed adjective clauses and subordinate clauses, all mixed up in there. All right. The independent clause is in blue. They make allowances. Okay.
A question, teacher, but could be sufficient to say that the independent clause is they make allowances.
One more time. Sorry,
Can I say that it's sufficient that I say that they make allowances is the independent clause without saying for how I dress and what I say in your kind of definition, in this definition of the independent clause? Because it seems to me that for how I dress and what I say are dependent clause.
They are.
For how I dress and what I say.
Yes, they're not mutually exclusive. If you know, one does not exclude the other. The next sentence here, the independent clauses in blue. Note that 2 of the independent clauses in italics, how I dress and
Yes.
say, are inside of and part of the independent clause. They are both dependent clause and independent clause at the same time. So
It's very
yeah,
difficult
you're
to
right. If it's
understand.
I know it's so weird. You're saying that it seems they're part of the independent clause. Yeah, you're right. They are. They are both. And a different dependent clause and part of a bigger independent clause at the same time. Crazy. It's like if you have, yes it is. It's like if you had a mutant puppy dog living in your chest. It's a puppy dog, but it's also part of you. Okay? All right. Do not be alarmed.
It's very tricky, teacher. Very tricky, yes.
Do not be alarmed. This happens all the time. Okay. All right. So, okay. Again. All right.
I am a bit confused, teacher.
All right. So the independent clause, they make allowances for how I dress and what I say. What are, let's see if we can discover what are the 4 dependent clauses.
Yes.
All right, Vincenzo, what do you think?
Yes,
1,
teacher.
2, 3, 4.
Yes, in my idea, yes, I would classify they make allowances as an independent clause. And depending when you specify for how I dress and what I say, they are dependent clause.
1, how I dress. 2,
Yeah,
what I say.
2, what I say to the second. 1, 2. After, because people know, yes, that I am an English teacher. Another dependent clause.
Okay. And actually, here are relative clause or adjective clause underlined. This is 3. So, okay.
Yeah, I would say that there are 3 dependent clauses, not 4.
And actually 4. Part of, okay, here it is again. A clause can be inside and part of another clause. That's what's very confusing. This is the most confusing element to learning sentence construction, in my opinion. That I am an English teacher, this is a relative clause, this is another dependent clause, and the 4th and final dependent clause is actually this whole thing, because people know that I am an English teacher. So, that I am an English teacher is actually part of 2. It is 1 complete dependent clause, and it is part of another dependent clause. How I dress and what I say are both dependent clauses and part of an independent clause. So, there you go. That's the tricky part. They kind of meld inside each other. You see? Yeah. And frankly, it's difficult for me if you just put this sentence in front of me and I have to dissect and analyze it. It's going to take me 10 or 15 minutes to figure it out. Honestly, I could figure it out. I'm confident I could, but it would take me a little while to figure that out. Yes. Okay.
See, a good sentence in order to reflect, in order to fix your mind about something. It's a kind of concentration. Yes, kind exercise of concentration.
Okay. Yes, it is. All right. Okay. One more note. A quick review of the punctuation. We've only got a couple more minutes. Let's look at these examples here. Although, obviously a subordinator. Although, Tom reads novels. Jack reads comics. Subordinating clause first, we need a comma. So there it is, dependent clause, comma, independent. In B, Jack reads comics, although Tom reads novels, just reversed. We don't need a comma. Jack Smith, who reads comics, rarely reads novels. Notice the use of commas. That is because we have a non-essential dependent clause. Again, we get tricky with the essential and non-essential information.
Yes.
Yeah. we can get rid of who reads comics. Jack Smith rarely reads novels. It's not that important. It's extra information.
Yeah.
It is not essential. In that case, I need to have commas to separate this dependent clause. Non-essential dependent clause. The last one, think about this. People who read comics rarely read novels. All right, what do we have? Independent clause, which is broken up in the middle of the independent clause, is an essential dependent clause. So the independent clause is people rarely read novels. It doesn't really make sense by itself, does it?
It could be people, the principle. Simply people.
Yeah.
Okay, it could be depending who read comics and rarely read novels.
Who read comics
two dependent clauses. Who read comics and rarely read novels, or not?
No, rarely is not a subordinator. It's an adverb. It's not a subordinator. No. I'm just. What's the who read comics rarely? Oh, okay. There you go. That's people read novels. Okay, but the information people read novels is completely different when we add this information. Who read comics rarely? It's completely different. As opposed to Jack Smith rarely reads novels. Who reads comics is completely unessential because it doesn't change the meaning of the main phrase. Jack Smith rarely reads novels, one way or the other. Whether we have that non-essential clause or not, it really doesn't make any difference. That is tricky, and this is another one that's extremely tricky for me, trying to figure out, and I can't just look at it and tell you. I have to analyze it and think about it. Does the independent clause have the same meaning with or without? In example C, it has the same meaning. Jack Smith rarely reads novels.
Yes, in the sample C, you have to choose what is the principal clause, because you can choose between Jack Smith, who reads comics, or Jack Smith rarely reads novels.
Well, no, we know that who is a...
What is important? The fact that he reads comics, or the fact that he rarely reads novels?
The fact that he rarely reads novels. We know that because who is a relative pronoun.
Relative, yes.
So we can't say bananas, chocolate is good to eat. That doesn't make sense. You know, we can't have two subjects.
Yes.
Two subject nouns together are nonsense. Okay. Ooh, that was a struggle. Tomorrow we shall struggle even more. Tomorrow we will one more time at the same time. Tomorrow we will look at compound, complex sentences, the most complicated type of sentence. So we'll have one more go at it tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm starving.
Thank you, teacher.
Gotta go.